My name is Thea Westbrook. I'm 28 years old. Last Tuesday, I sat in a lawyer's office and watched my entire family celebrate getting millions from my grandfather's will, while I held a yellowed envelope with nothing inside but a phone number. My sister laughed so hard she had to grip my mother's arm. My uncle raised his coffee like a toast. The attorney just sat there, hands folded, watching me the way you'd watch someone open a door they can't close again. Everyone in that room had already spent their inheritance in their heads before the ink dried. And me? I was the punchline, the college dropout, the girl who sells chairs for a living. They'd written me off years ago, and Grandpa's envelope was to them the final proof. But here's what none of them knew. Not my mother, not my sister, not my uncle with his self-appointed title and his Cadillac. They didn't know what happens when the punchline picks up the phone and dials. Let me take you back to the morning I got the call that Grandpa Harold was gone. My mother doesn't call before 9 unless someone's dead or she needs something. Today, it's both. "Your grandfather passed last night," she says. No tremor, no pause. "The attorney is reading the will tomorrow at 2. She hangs up before I can say anything. I'm 28 years old, managing a furniture store in a town of 4,000 people, and I just found out my grandfather died the same way I find out about dental appointments. Harold Westbrook built a commercial real estate operation spanning 3 counties, 40 employees, 6 active developments, a name that means something in central Ohio. But to me, he was the man who kept sawdust in his shirt pockets and taught me how to sand a table edge until it felt like water under your fingers. Every Sunday was his workshop. Every Sunday, just us. That stopped when I was 19. Harold had a minor stroke, left side weakness, slurred speech for 2 weeks. The doctor said he needed daily physical therapy and someone to manage his medication schedule. My mother said he has a nurse. Victor said he was swamped at the office. Nora was in her 2nd year at Case Western and didn't come home for 3 weeks. I dropped my semester and drove to Granville every morning at 7. I helped him with his exercises, grip strength, balance drills, the slow walks around the property that he hated and I made him do anyway. 4 months later, Harold was back at full capacity. His doctor called the recovery remarkable. I never went back to Ohio State. The scholarship lapsed. Nobody in my family offered to cover tuition. My mother told her friends I just wasn't college material. That was 9 years ago. Tuesday, the will reading. I put on the one blazer I own, navy, 2 years old, bought for a job interview I never went to. Inside the lawyer's office, my sister Nora steps out of her Lexus in a tailored black dress like she's heading to a deposition. My uncle Victor rolls up in his Cadillac, sunglasses on, already talking about what's his. Roger Harmon opens the manila folder and begins. Victor gets the Lake Erie vacation house and $800,000 in cash. My mother receives the Columbus apartment and $600,000. Nora and her husband get $500,000, plus Harold's investment portfolio. Several cousins receive education trusts, $200,000 each. Then Roger Harmon flips to the final page, and to Thea Marie Westbrook, one sealed envelope to be delivered directly and opened only by the named recipient. Every head turns. The envelope is yellowed, edges soft with age, my name in Harold's handwriting, the ink slightly faded. Roger Harmon slides it across the table. The silence holds for exactly 3 seconds. Then Nora laughs. It starts as a snort and escalates into something she doesn't even try to control. "Must be for some shelter for you to live in," she says. My mother's shoulders shake. She's laughing too. The whole room follows. Roger Harmon doesn't laugh. He closes his folder and watches me. In the parking lot, my mother catches up. "You see," she says, "he knew you couldn't handle real money. That number is probably a financial counselor for people in your situation." I sit in my car. The envelope sits on the passenger seat. Harold's handwriting stares up at me. "Call when you're ready."
My hands shake as I pick up my phone and dial. A man's voice answers, calm, measured. "Hello, I've been expecting your call." "Who is this?" "My name is Raymond Alcott. Your grandfather appointed me 20 years ago. Your grandfather established an irrevocable trust in 2005. You are the sole beneficiary." "I don't understand." "The trust holds 100% ownership of Westbrook Properties LLC, the operating company, the development projects, the long-term investment accounts, a current estimated value of approximately $38 million. The number sits in the air between us like something that can't be real. "Why me?" I ask. "I don't have a business degree. I manage a furniture store." He's quiet for a moment. "Your grandfather told me something when he set this up. He said, 'The one who comes when I fall, not for what I can give, but because I fell. That's the one I trust with what I built.' He watched his family for 20 years after that. You were the only one who showed up." My throat tightens. "If you never called this number, if you threw the envelope away, the trust would transfer to a charitable foundation permanently. Your family would have kept only what was in the will." I hang up and I cry. Not because of money, but because Harold believed me when I didn't even believe myself. That evening, my mother throws what she calls a memorial dinner at Grandpa Harold's house, the Westbrook way of grieving. Open the expensive wine and divide the furniture. Victor sits at the head of the table, Harold's chair. He doesn't even hesitate. "I'll be taking over operations at the company," he announces, swirling a glass of Harold's wine. Dad would have wanted continuity. Nobody challenges him. My mother lifts her glass. "To Harold," she says, "and to the family he provided for." They drink. I hold my glass but don't sip. At the edge of the table, Aunt Lillian doesn't laugh with the others. She watches me from across the room with an expression I can't quite read. That night, I drive home with both hands on the wheel and the gas receipt with Raymond's address folded in my pocket. Friday evening, I walk into Raymond Alcott's office and sign every page. Beneficiary acknowledgement, identity verification, acceptance of fiduciary responsibilities. My hand is steady. The pen is heavy, an old Mont Blanc that Raymond says Harold gave him in 1994. "It's done," Raymond says. He slides a sealed envelope across the desk. Smaller than the first. "This is the letter he left for you. It was only to be delivered upon your acceptance." I open it carefully. One page, Harold's block letters. "Dear Thea, I watched this family for a long time. I love them all, but I know who will build and who will burn through. You were the only one who came when I fell and never asked what I'd leave you. You drove 40 minutes every morning. You sorted my pills. You read me the box scores when my eyes couldn't focus. Everyone else showed up for Thanksgiving. You showed up in January. I'm not giving you money, I'm giving you responsibility. That's the only kind of inheritance worth having. Take care of what I built, and take care of yourself first. Harold." Saturday, 2 p.m. Harold's house. I walk through the front door with Raymond Alcott behind me. A man my family doesn't recognize, carrying a leather briefcase. Victor straightens. "Who's this?" "This is Raymond Alcott, my attorney." Nora squints. She recognizes the name slowly. "You're the one who used to work with Grandpa?" Raymond sets his briefcase on the coffee table. "In 2005, Harold Westbrook established an irrevocable trust with me as the appointed trustee. This trust is a separate legal instrument from the will. It does not pass through probate, it cannot be modified, dissolved, or affected by any challenge to the will." He pauses. "The trust holds 100% ownership of Westbrook Properties LLC, the operating company, the development projects, the long-term investment accounts, a current estimated value of approximately $38 million. The sole beneficiary of this trust is Thea Marie Westbrook."
Victor's mouth opens, closes, opens again. My mother's hand goes white on the armrest. "Thea signed the acceptance documents 2 days ago," Raymond continues. "Ownership transferred immediately upon her signature. This is effective and irrevocable." Victor is on his feet. The armchair skids backward. This is fraud. My father did not have the mental capacity to create something like this. Raymond pulls out 3 folders. Harold completed independent mental capacity evaluations in 2005, 2015, and 2023. All 3 were conducted by board-certified physicians with no connection to the family. The results are documented and notarized. You're welcome to review them. Victor doesn't touch them. The room fractures all at once. Victor points at Raymond. I was the COO for 10 years. Nora stands so fast her knee catches the coffee table. So we get a few $100,000 and she gets $38 million? She sells chairs. Raymond doesn't flinch. The allocation under the will and the trust are 2 distinct legal matters. My mother turns to me. You won't do this to your own family. Her voice wavers. Your grandfather wanted us together, not divided. I hold her gaze. You told me in that parking lot that Grandpa gave me the envelope because I couldn't handle real money. You told the whole family at Thanksgiving that I was your disappointment. Don't talk to me about togetherness, Mom. The room goes silent. Victor leaves next, not the slammed door kind, the slow, measured kind, the kind a man walks through when everything he thought he knew just collapsed. My mother sits in the wingback chair. She stares at the carpet, the same carpet Harold chose 30 years ago. Then Aunt Lillian stands. She's Harold's youngest daughter. She squeezes my shoulder on the way out. I always wondered why Harold kept that workshop going when nobody visited, she says. Now I know someone did. She leaves. I stand alone in Harold's living room. His chair is empty. Through the window, I can see the workshop out back. It's mine to protect now. Monday morning, the headquarters of Westbrook Properties. Maggie Donnelly, the acting CEO, meets me at the entrance. I'm not going to baby you, she says, but I'm not going to let you drown either. You have 12 months of mentorship. Then I step back. We review 6 active projects, 2 contracts awaiting signatures, a retail build-out, a senior living facility, 1 personnel issue. Victor hired 3 family members into no-show positions. His son, Tyler, has been on payroll for 11 months and hasn't visited a single job site. What would Harold have done? Maggie asks. 90-day performance reviews. Anyone who doesn't meet the benchmarks gets terminated with severance. Do it, I say. I don't hesitate because I'm not trying to please my uncle. I'm trying to honor my grandfather. That week, Victor calls. You fired my son. He wasn't fired. He's been placed on a 90-day performance review. If he meets the standards, he stays. Victor's voice cracks. I'm going to sue. His trust or no trust, I'll drag this into court. That's your right, I say. But Raymond sent your attorney formal notice. If you contest the trust, the no contest clause activates. Your $800,000 in cash and the Lake Erie house will be frozen until the court reaches a verdict. That could take 2 to 3 years. Silence. The kind you can almost see. He hangs up. 3 months later, Victor calls again. His voice is unrecognizable, smaller, the kind of voice a man has after he's been alone for too long. I dropped the lawsuit, he says. My lawyer told me straight, there's no case. The trust is airtight. I'm quiet. My $800,000 is mostly gone, he continues. Legal fees, living expenses, Carol's still at her mother's. I wait, and I've learned that silence is more honest than rushing to fill it. Thea, I want to ask if there's a place for me at the company. You have 20 years of operations experience, Uncle Victor. You're not special. You're just seeing that the truth is harder than the lies you told yourself. You go through the same hiring process as any external candidate. Application, interview, reference check. No special title. And the inflated expense reports from the last 2 years. If you come back, that ledger gets addressed formally. I understand, he says quietly. Welcome to the process. 6 months later, I'm walking a construction site in Holden.
Harold drafted a proposal 2 years before he died, a 36-unit affordable housing development. Victor killed it, said the margins were too thin. Harold shelved it but never deleted the file. "This is where we started," his note says. "We should give something back." I approve it. We name it Harold's Corner. No grand announcement, no press conference, just me, in a hard hat, walking the site with Pete, a foreman who's been with Westbrook Properties for 22 years. "Your grandpa used to walk every site like this," Pete says, kicking a cloud of dirt. "First one there, last one to leave." 1 year after the will reading, Thanksgiving, my mother arrives early and starts peeling potatoes without being asked. It's the first time in a decade she's helped prepare a meal in this house. Nora and Grant come together. PropLink's pilot contract converted to a full vendor agreement. Grant pulled the divorce filing. Carol came back to Victor 2 months ago. They're in counseling. We're sitting around the oak table Harold built himself, the one he sanded until it felt like water. It's not healed, it's better. After dinner, I step outside alone. The workshop sits 20 yards behind the house. The light switch is a pull chain. I tug it. The single bulb fills the room with warm yellow light. Everything is where Harold left it. Hand planes on the pegboard, sandpaper rolls sorted by grit. The workbench, 8 feet of maple, edges worn smooth from decades of his hands. I pull up his stool and sit. The room smells like sawdust and linseed oil. It always has. It always will. Harold didn't leave me $38 million. He left me the right to decide for myself. The money is a tool. The real trust, not the legal document, is the inheritance. He chose me when nobody else did, and he was right. Not because I'm brilliant or special, but because I didn't walk away when it was easier to leave. If you're sitting somewhere right now and the people who are supposed to love you have decided you're not enough, I'm not going to promise you'll get $38 million. But I'll tell you this, your worth isn't decided at anyone's dinner table. It's built in the quiet hours when nobody's watching. It's built when you show up, even when showing up costs you. Even when it costs you your education, your time, your place at the table. Harold taught me that with sawdust and patience and a nod across a Thanksgiving table when nobody else was looking. So here's where I landed. I set 3 boundaries for myself and wrote them on a card taped to my kitchen cabinet. 1. I don't explain my worth to people who've already decided I have none. 2. I don't let anyone use my past to draw the borders of my future. 3. I don't cut off my family, but I don't let them cross my boundaries without consequence. Love and access are not the same thing. I put my hand flat on the workbench. The wood is cool and smooth under my palm. There are dents and scratches from 40 years of Harold's projects. My hand fits right over the worn spot where his used to rest. Thank you, Grandpa. The bulb flickers once. I pull the chain. The light goes off. I slide the door shut and walk back across the gravel to the house where the kitchen window glows warm and I can hear someone laughing inside. It sounds like family, the real kind. That's my story. If it made you feel something, if you've ever sat in a room full of people who looked right past you, I'd love to hear yours in the comments. And here's a question for you. If your grandfather left you a yellowed envelope with nothing but a phone number inside, would you call? Thank you for staying until the end. That means more than you know.